Now, there are some things that you may know about Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, by now, especially if you've watched the entire Miss Marvel Disney Plus miniseries, which is now concluded. But do you know everything about her impact on the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as she moves forward in the MCU? She's going to be a powerful force in multiple ways, and I really do think she's going to pop up long before the upcoming movie where she's for sure going to appear, which is The Marvels. And I'm telling you, there's a really good reason why Kevin Feige and company want to tease her importance, but overall keep it a secret, other than her previously publicly forecasted involvement in the Marvels movie. But too bad! We're going to discuss how she impacts everything moving forward. And we're going to do it right now. Welcome back to the Mama Saga, where this Marvel-loving mama is a mother by day, but breaks down comic book sagas, movies, and shows like Miss Marvel by night. Before we go any further, to be fair, spoiler alert, there are spoilers in this video. So if you haven't watched all available episodes of Miss Marvel yet, go on ahead, exit this video, go catch up on any part of the miniseries you've missed, then you can come back and this video will make a ton more sense. Okay, so when it comes to Miss Marvel's impact on the future of the MCU, sure, there's the mutant thing. Oh my gosh, but Kamala was revealed to be a mutant following some testing done on both her and her family members by longtime bestie since the second grade, Bruno Corelli. This was the mic drop moment we'd all been waiting for. And I love how Marvel pipes in the X-Men music. There's this big pause, and then it's all played off like it's no big deal to Kamala, who's like, well, that's just another label we have to deal with. And then she asks Bruno's for the keys to Cameron's car, which Cameron left behind after fleeing the country to go join the Red Daggers. Way too funny, but of course super impactful. Mutants are officially canon, not just in the MCU, that was covered by the presence of members of the Illuminati in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. No, we're talking about mutants being canon for Earth 616, which is the main universe that we've been following along with since the original Iron Man movie released in 2008. When you go back and look at an interview Kevin Feige gave with Empire on May 9, 2022, he admitted that Kamala's backstory and powers weren't being altered specifically to avoid there being two characters with stretching powers, given the advent of Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four into the MCU proper, although down the road a little bit. Nope, he said specifically that the origin of Miss Marvel was going to tie in with the overarching storyline that tied all Phase 4 projects together. He also said specifically that Kamala, quote, is coming into a very specific time within the MCU continuity, unquote. He went on to say, quote, what we will learn about where these powers come from and how they come about is specific to the MCU. Unquote. He made it clear that Miss Marvel was going to drive the overall plot forward as it, quote, taps into the future of her story as it connects to her other friends that she will meet in the upcoming film, unquote. Meaning the Marvels, but also I think it means friends beyond Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau. Don't forget, in the comic book saga, Kamala Khan ran with the Avengers for a while. But then, folks, Kamala is important for another reason, because there's that negative zone thing. If you didn't see my video from way back predicting that Kamala's bangle bracelet given to her by her Nani Sena was a negaband and that it had connections to the negative zone, well, you need to go check it out, because I scooped a lot of other Marvel theorists who thought it might just be something else. And I knew that it wasn't. I just knew it. And I go through the host of superpowers that one negaband or even a pair of negabands could convey upon their wearer in that video entitled Negabands, Why Does Miss Marvel Have Them? So if you didn't see that video, make sure you subscribe to this channel first and then check it out. I'm going to refer back to this video in a moment as I make another point, but The post-credit scene in the last episode of the Miss Marvel miniseries on Disney Plus showed Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, switching places with Kamala after Kamala's bangle lit up and sucked her into another zone. The women swapped places, and it became very clear from Carol's reaction that she's not Kamala, having shapeshifted into Captain Marvel's Caucasian-esque form, like what happened in Miss Marvel's comic book saga origin story initially. Oh no. The way Carol looked around Kamala's room, taking it all in for the first time, realizing she was in the room of a superfan, and then breathing the words, "Oh, no," means she was like, oh wow, I'm in a superfan's room, look at all of this, and where the heck am I? She did not have Kamala's bangle on her wrist either. Kamala still has her own bangle in the zone that she's in, and that's the negative zone, which is connected to the bangle she has. In the Marvel comic book saga, the original Captain Marvel, well, really the Kree hero Captain Mar-Vell, swapped places with the owner of a second set of negabands, a more ordinary man by the name of Rick Jones. Long story short, Captain Mar-Vell was trapped in the negative zone because of the draw of the zone to the negabands and the power they contained within them. And, well, Mar-Vell couldn't get out. Not until Rick Jones came upon a pair, touched them together, and wham! They swapped places, with Rick Jones stuck in the negative zone, although left in a protected bubble, and in the meantime, Captain Mar-Vell was freed to handle an impending threat. These two men paired up for a time, swapping in and out of the negative zone and having adventures that led to the Kree-Skrull War, which is totally what I think the upcoming movie The Marvels is going to involve. But I'll cover that in more detail in an upcoming video, so please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. In the meantime, there's also the Ant-Man thing, meaning that I predicted for quite some time that Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel is going to factor into the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania storyline somehow, someway, even if you see Easter eggs related to her or a post-credit scene or stinger of some sort in connection with that movie. As I discussed in a previous video of mine, how does Miss Marvel and Ant-Man connect? There have been quite a few Easter eggs that point to Kamala factoring into Scott Lang and crew's storyline, including the beheading of the huge Ant-Man statue at AvengerCon in episode 1 of the Miss Marvel miniseries, the mention of Scott Lang's podcast in that same episode, and even his appearance in a mural in episode 4 of the Miss Marvel miniseries. It's very clear to me that these two heroes' storylines are going to cross over and can quite possibly do so as early as Quantumania, or at the very least because of what happens in that movie. There's way too many Easter eggs to ignore, folks. Whether Kamala goes into the quantum realm after being in the negative zone following the post-credit stinger of episode 6 of Miss Marvel, or she helps to avenge one or more of Ant-Man's crew following what has been leaked to be a brutal battle with Kang the Conqueror, the ruler of that realm, remains to be seen. But remember, I said it months ago, and I'm sticking to it. Kamala's going to have involvement with Scott Lang and likely Cassie Lang too, so be sure to check out that video I mentioned, and while I'm at it, don't forget the Kang thing. Kamala may have a lot of power from being a Jinn alone, meaning the power of the Noor that comes from Aisha, her great-grandmother, who had been in exile from the Noor or light dimension. Sure, she's got the Kree artifact that Aisha rescued from the Ten Rings Temple that, per Bruno Corelli, only serves to boost or augment those powers. And that Kree artifact, like I said, is a negaband that will give Kamala lots more power to battle and defeat Kang, because in the comic book saga, she's not only had to battle him directly, but in another universe had her genes and his folded over to become a super powerful being known as Kamala Kang. Now, if you know anything about Kang the Conqueror, He's going to be one of the big bads of upcoming phases of the MCU, and he's going to put Thanos to shame in terms of his power and brutality. No offense, but Captain Marvel can't take on Kang alone. And even Monica Rambeau with her newly minted powers won't be enough to topple Kang. Nope, they're gonna need Kamala with all of the powers of the Negaban confers upon her in order to defeat him with, and I've theorized this before, with Kamala soaking up both Monica and Captain Marvel's powers, with the latter being in her binary form in order to get the job done. I've discussed that in my live stream, and you can catch the replay entitled Miss Marvel Episode 3 Reaction, Review, Easter Eggs, and Theories. And now we're on to the Mama Saga post-credit scene. There's so much for you to catch up on, right? You just know you have to subscribe to my channel. I mean, you may as well, because there's a ton of great videos coming up that you don't want to miss, including the next planned video, which is going to cover how Miss Marvel is going to usher in none other than the Fantastic Four into the MCU, which I suppose is yet another reason why Miss Marvel is the future of MCU. Kevin Feige wasn't kidding. Kamala's origin story does tap into the overarching storyline of the MCU. She's way too important for you to dismiss. You'd better tell your comic book loving friends to catch up on the Miss Marvel miniseries if they've been sleeping on it, and tell them Mama said so. Anyway, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe to the Mama Saga for more comic book saga breakdowns, Salty Mama style. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time.